Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today I'll be showing you how I made this mini egg Easter cake. So jumping straight into the video, as you see here, I am layering my cakes. So I'm actually piping a dam of buttercream, American buttercream, on the outside of the cake. And then on the inside of that, I'm actually putting in my frosting, which is cream cheese frosting. So the reason why I'm piping a dam and then putting in the cream cheese frosting is because, as you can see, cream cheese by nature is a lot more looser than buttercream. So there's tendency that if you use just cream cheese on your cakes won't be stable, they'll slip and they'll slide. So in order to combat this, what I like to do is I like to pipe a dam around the edge of the cake, and then I put my cream cheese frosting on the inside. So once my cake is stacked, I'm putting the rest of my buttercream on the top of the cake and also on the sides of the cake. And this is of course to do the crumb coat. So I'm just going around the cake, putting some buttercream around the cake and making sure that I have all sides of the cake covered, so that when I go in with my spatula, as you can see now, I'm able to have enough buttercream to smooth the whole cake so there are no naked parts of the cake showing. So once I'm happy with that, I then go in with my scraper. I've got my acrylic scraper here, and I'm basically trying to make the icing smooth. I actually did pause for a second to put in some jumbo straws. So the reason as to why I put in this jumbo straws is cakes like carrot cake are very moist. So there's a tendency for them to slip and slide a bit, even despite using the buttercream dam. So what I like to do is I like to put some jumbo straws inside the cake, and this almost holds the cake upright. So once that's done, I go back in with my buttercream, making sure that I've got the naked parts covered, and I'm just smoothing it out until it's nice and smooth and my crumb coat is done. So once I'm happy with my crumb coat and it's nice and smooth, I put it in the fridge for anything from 20 to 40 minutes before I take it out and put my second layer of icing on. So once my cake is out of the fridge, you can see here I'm putting on my second layer of icing. So it's the same buttercream, I've just coloured it with a colour called Duck Egg. I will leave it in the description box. So I'm just going around my cake, making sure that everywhere is covered with the coloured icing. So you want to start off with more icing than you need. This is because it's much easier to scrape off the excess than to fill in any gaps that are caused by lack of icing. So always start off with more icing and it will come off naturally when you're scraping off the excess. I'm now going in with my spatula just to take the icing around the edges of the cake and the top of the cake as well. And this is just to make sure that the icing is nice and leveled before I go in with my acrylic scraper. So now I'm going in with my acrylic scraper, and like I mentioned in my previous video, I hold it at not a 90-degree angle but a bit inwards into the cake, and this is so that the icing gets pressed into the cake. So I pretty much continue that. I'm holding at an angle, making sure that I'm filling in any of the gaps that I see as I go along. It will get to a point where you may be filling in the gaps and find that it's actually not becoming smooth. In this scenario, usually less is more. So you just want to actually stop adding icing and just making sure that you're concentrating on smoothing out the cake. And in the end, you will get a nice and smooth cake. Sometimes you do have to go a bit slower, sometimes a bit faster, but it all comes with practice. I also would just want to encourage anyone out there that is struggling with getting smooth sides. Honestly, it takes patience. It takes a lot of patience. Sometimes you feel like, I'm nearly done, and then you see some gaps that are just a bit too big and you have to go in with your icing again. But honestly, it takes a good scraper and a lot of patience in order to get those smooth edges. But once you do, you get the hang of it and you'll be able to do it for any kind of icing and also any kind of cake. So as you can see here, I'm going around slower and I am actually just going around for the final time. So once I'm happy with that, I would then just clean up the excess icing on the board of the cake. I'm using my spatula to do this. I like to take it off before it goes into the fridge, because once it goes into the fridge it will be a bit hard and difficult to remove. So it's now been, I think, about half an hour. I've taken my cake out of the fridge, and you'll see that I've removed the excess lip of the icing on top, and I'm also just smoothing the icing at the top of the cake to make sure that it's nice and flat. So off camera I created this chocolate nest. Let me know if you'd like to see a tutorial on how I actually did this, but it's literally just dark chocolate. I created this chocolate nest, and this is where my mini eggs will sit in. So the chocolate nest was actually not standing up by itself. Luckily there was a bit of chocolate that came off this nest, so I just used that to support it at the back, and that worked a treat. So now I'm going in with my mini eggs. I do love a good mini egg. So I'm just going in with my mini eggs, and I am basically placing them in the basket. And I also made sure that there were different colors, so it wasn't just yellows or purples, for example, but I made sure that there was a good variety of colors. So I also did the overflowing, so I did some mini eggs outside the chocolate nest to make it seem like, you know, the eggs are coming out of the nest, right? Because it is Easter. So yeah, I pretty much do that until I'm happy with it. I think I used about 1 packet of mini eggs.
Purchase your tracks today.
So once I've placed my final mini eggs, and I'll just put one on the edge just for good luck. Once I've placed my mini eggs on the cake is pretty much ready. I did then decide to do gold splashes around the cake. I thought it would give it that nice rustic Easter look to match with the eggs, because the eggs actually have specks, right? They have little chocolate specks on the outside, and I thought it'd be nice to match the cake to this. So what I did is I mixed a bit of gold paint together, edible paint of course, and then I'm just using my paintbrush to splash it all around the cake, and I'm doing this quite messy because that's the look that I'm going for. So in the end, this is what it looked like. Great, so now that I'm happy with that, I actually went in with some cake decor gold spray, and this is basically glitter spray, and it gives it that little nice glowing finish. So I just went in and I sprayed a bit on the eggs, especially on the basket and on the cake, and there we have it. So I just cleaned up my board with a damp towel, so I only use this for cake boards. So you want to make sure that you have one that is specifically for cakes and nothing else. And once that is done, your cake is ready. What do you think, guys? Honestly, my favorite part is the overflowing of the eggs onto the cake out of the basket. I think it looks really, really nice. And this is also the inside of the cake. Like I mentioned, it was a carrot cake, and it was absolutely delicious, if I do say so myself. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if there are any other videos that you'd like to see. Just pop it in the comment section, and I will make sure that I get those done for you guys. Thanks again, and God bless.